whose sign is that? And why is my sign not in the lawn?
Yeah.
And somebody actually said to me, well, do they know you? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, you can't be a secret agent. You have to get out there. And probably one of our best items of value.
You're going over your neighbor's house, with their pool or just to have a barbecue, and you bring your little 6-pack in there. I love that idea. I'm going to do that. I'm going to steal that one for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Don't worry about, a more dominant agent necessarily, because there's enough business out there for everybody.
My name is Carrie Massey. I'm a realtor here at Keller Williams Complete Real Estate, and I am here with Barb Best. You have the best name. I'm sure you get that a lot. And Barb is going to talk to us a little bit about her success with Geo Farming. So tell us a little bit, what got you started in Geo Farming?
I think the biggest thing was, I think it was my 4th year in real estate, and I kept making the same amount of money every year, and I was frustrated with that. So I was always told that your business should grow 25% per year, and it wasn't growing. And I started realizing, because I'm from BC and I didn't have that database that a lot of other people had the luxury of having, I needed to add a pillar of income. And I had gone to a Keller Williams event that talked about geographical farming, and I was like, I have to do that.
Yeah. So that resonated with you. That was your next pillar, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
All right. And then so you started Geo Farming, and how did you pick the area that you started farming?
Yeah, I picked the area that I live in because I kept going up and down the street going, whose sign is that? And why is my sign not in the lawn?
Yeah.
And somebody actually said to me, well, do they know you? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, you can't be a secret agent. You have to get out there and get them to know you.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
I can resonate with the secret agent. I was a secret agent when I first got into real estate. I had a hard time promoting myself, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So you picked that area because it was close to you where you lived. Mm-hmm. And then what did you do? Like what was your plan for Geo Farming?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know what I basically just kind of went to that course and was told to go out with my newsletter. So that was what I did. I wrote a newsletter and I door knocked the entire farm, the entire neighborhood, and just spoke to people and said, I'm going to be here every quarter. My goal is to be of value to you, and I'm going to deliver a newsletter every quarter.
Awesome. So what types of things do you put in your newsletter that you would say would be value to the neighbors? Yeah,
the first thing I do is basically talk about what, the reality is of the market at that time. So it would start out with, happy spring, the real estate market seems to be heating up just like the weather.
Yeah.
And then I would go into a market watch report. So I would go, and check to see what the stats were overall. Mm-hmm. And then I would talk a little bit about like predictions and have something about the Bank of Canada and the interest rate. Then on the next page, I would have all the stats from the previous quarter. So I would tell them how many detached, semi-detached, and townhouses sold. And I would talk about the average price so that they had an idea of what the values of the homes were selling for at that time.
Awesome. So you became that person in the neighborhood who was keeping them up to date on the real estate market.
Yes. And it was only the sales of the homes in their neighborhood. It didn't have anything to do with any outside areas.
Yeah. I think it's important because we see the news all the time and we're hearing what's happening in Canada or what's happening in Ontario, but to be a little bit more neighborhood specific, I think people really want that.
Yeah, I think they love that sort of granular approach to it because it was just their neighborhood. They felt special getting that kind of info.
Yeah. And so you picked a neighborhood. How did you come up with how many houses you wanted to be in your farm? Was that just because that's how many were there, or did you have an idea?
So that's how many were there.
Okay.
And I figured the neighborhood's pretty specific. It's about 8 streets.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I could do that. And so I just did it.
So it was manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who's picking a geographical farm area?
I would say start small to get big. And I wouldn't start with any more than 500 homes.
Okay.
And really, get to know those people, and then you can expand.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, have you grown your farm? Or do you still stick to your 500?
I still stick to my it's 550 homes, and there's 7 condo buildings as well. Okay. And I really stick to that. I'm really busy with that, plus my database.
Yeah.
But an expansion model is not out of the question.
Yeah.
but it's a time consuming thing. So I really just get deeper and deeper in those relationships.
Okay. So the whole thing is about building relationships with the people in your farm.
100%. That's all mostly what it's about. Yeah.
I think this whole business is about relationship building, right? We always say that people work with people they know, like, and trust, right? So you're building that relationship over time, and they'll see your success and want to work with you. I would assume
that's the goal. Hopefully. That's the goal.
All right. What else do you do in your farm other than your newsletter? So that was the first thing you did? You started with newsletters quarterly?
So we do postcards once a month. They go out automatically. We also partner with businesses in the area to offer like a discount, and they'll go on the back of a postcard sometimes. And the other thing we do is we partner, we supported the Beaches Jazz Festival.
Okay.
So we do things with that. We also partner with the Michael Garron Hospital once a year on Giving Tuesday. So we're really involved with the community that way. And the postcard goes out, and I love it when I get a phone call or an email from someone that says, hey, I just want to let you know, we donated to Giving Tuesday. We saw your postcard. And, it's just a nice way to kind of get everybody involved.
So that's something close and local. So they'll appreciate and like that.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Who doesn't use the local hospital for something?
Right? Yeah.
So we think that's a great cause. And then we also support sports teams as well.
Oh, okay. Very good. In the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. What do you do that's kind of sets you aside from other realtors? Obviously, you're farming this particular area. You're probably not the only realtor working that area. So what do you do that sets you aside from or apart from the other agents?
I would honestly say it's consistency.
Okay.
I just think that I just show up at a really high level.
Mm-hmm.
And, they say that the extra mile is not crowded because it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And, I'm not afraid to go out in minus 20 degree weather.
Yeah.
Right. And I have done that to deliver my newsletter. And I think people just really appreciate that. Hey, she said she was going to be here every quarter, rain, snow, sun, and she is. And so, you build that kind of reputation of integrity and hard work, and people want to give you the business because they appreciate that.
Yeah. I love that you brought up consistency, because I think that's something we all struggle with a little bit. We all have intention to keep going with something, and sometimes it just falls to the wayside. So, I was just talking to someone in the office who kind of mentioned the same thing. Oh, I was doing that and then life happened, right? And I got off of that, but kind of inspired them to get back on that horse and pick that up again. So consistency is key, not just in real estate, but anything, right?
Yeah. And the second thing I just want to add is to be of value without expecting anything in return. Yeah. And people will have more business and they know what to do with if they do that. Yeah.
And you mentioned that too in your newsletter, that you add some value in there, statistics when you're talking to people. People want to know about their neighborhood in general. Do you do that as well with your door knocking or your cards that you mail out? I guess you mail them, you don't door knock them, right?
The postcards get mailed automatically. We also do like a Blue Jays calendar that can go on the fridge. We have cooler bags. There was a time during COVID when people were kind of racing through the streets. I don't know if you guys had that.
Yeah.
And we did branded, please slow down, kids and pets at play.
Yeah.
So we did little branded signs to put in the grass, and we asked people on Facebook group if they wanted them. And so many people were like, yes, please.
Oh,
so we do things like that are just kind of fun. It was a really small branded thing too.
Yeah.
But the colors and the logo, you could tell was us. But the whole purpose was to be able to help the neighbors, keep the community safe.
Yeah. Going back to adding value to people. Yeah,
absolutely.
You mentioned a cooler bag. What was the cooler bag?
It's probably one of our best items of value. It was a really small cooler bag. I was like, when I got it, I was like, this thing is so small. Like nobody's going to use these.
Yeah.
But it was really small. It was branded. And we had so many people, like we door knock with them and then drop them off to people. And people were like, oh my God, our kids' lunches go in there, the baby bottles, or like everybody was using them and they love them. And can they get an extra one? I couldn't believe it because they were so small. I didn't think they were going to be useful, but people love them.
That's great. I think, you're meeting your neighbors, you're going over your neighbor's house, at their pool or just to have a barbecue, and you bring your little 6-pack in there. I love that idea. I'm going to do that. I'm going to steal that one for sure. For sure. Awesome. What would you give as advice to someone just starting out geo farming?
So the advice that I would give would be, I'd say probably the majority, like over 90% of the people for sure, get the majority of their business through their database. This is the people that know, like, and love and trust them already. But they're only ever going to sell a home like every once in a while. It's not like this is going to happen a lot.
Yeah.
And when you add that pillar to your business of geographical farming, you've just basically added, you could even think of it as adding a second database, really.
Yeah.
And it opens the doors for you to just, earn so much more.
Yeah.
Basically, that's kind of the key, is it just can double your income.
Yeah. And I love that you keep bringing it back to the value and your community and doing things in your community, because that's really what it is about, right? This is a people business first. We talk about that all the time. And it's important for people to see who you are as a person, right? And they can see that through the things that you do for your community.
Yeah. I mean, amazing. I always tell people, like, you're almost like the mayor of that community. You're the mayor of your geographical farm, because you'll go out for dinner or you'll go grab a coffee on a Saturday morning and people are, hey, how you doing? And half the time you're like, oh, I'm not really sure. I can't introduce my husband to him because I don't know these, but they recognize you from all your efforts.
Right. Yeah. Amazing. All right. Any other pieces of advice for someone wanting to get out there?
I would just say, just be authentic, be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't try to be anybody else.
Yeah.
Don't worry about, a more dominant agent necessarily, because there's enough business out there for everybody.
Yeah. Because you brought it up, I'm gonna ask, when you started in your farm, was there a dominant agent that was not you?
Absolutely. There was probably two specific. They were teams at the time. And I knew I had to be different to get the business.
Yeah.
And the one thing I realized is I was the only one showing up.
Yeah.
And I was consistent and I showed up, and they got me from start to finish of the transaction. And that was my value proposition.
Good. I also want to bring up, you talked earlier today, we were talking about how you host open houses for the neighbors on a Thursday evening, typically 6 to 8. What does that do for your relationship with the neighbors?
That's a great question. I think they love it because they get to come and see a home that is in its staged, marketable, state. They get to see how I present a home. And, a lot of people say, oh, they're just nosy neighbors. But I think a lot of people want to see, what do you do?
Yeah.
How you are. I've seen you at my door, but I don't know how you interact. And they get to know me on just a friendship basis.
Yeah.
And and I always have a sign-in sheet, and I always write, would you like to know the sold price of the home? And would you like to know what your home is worth?
Yeah.
And I have so many people say, can you come by on the weekend and let me know what you think my home is worth? Or can you also let me know what you think we should do to get our home ready for sale?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of those sort of design evaluation appointments.
Right.
And it's just a great way to meet people in a non-salesy kind of environment.
Yeah, where you're not sitting across the table hoping to sign paperwork, right? You're really just trying to build relationships.
Yeah, just a back and forth normal conversation.
Yeah. The other thing I like about those types of things is you're meeting neighbors, and those neighbors are going to tell you more about the community, right?
Absolutely.
So it helps with your knowledge of the community, what's happening, what's important to people in the community. So great way to kind of up those relationships a little bit.
Yeah, it's a great way to get deeper into the relationship with them.
Awesome.
And I serve them wine and they love that.
So. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, so now I have probably, on average 20 to 30 people that'll come to my VIP open houses, which is a great number on a Thursday night.
Yeah, amazing. I like that you call it VIP. So really showing up, you're showing them your value, you're adding value back to them, giving them some value in the community, and then really having an opportunity to showcase your skills as well. So you've kind of blended all of those things together in that package. So I love it. It's really great.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations on your success with Geo Farming. I hope that we get to spend some more time with you and hear some more.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out.
Well, thanks for having me. Podcast. That was a lot of fun.
No
Thank you.
You're welcome.